Welcome back to the channel, Vintage Fishing Reel Rescue. Today I have this D.A.M Quick 550 made in West Germany. This one does have some issues. The bail on it doesn't like to release quite right. Quite dirty. It turns alright. Has this lever here for the reverse lockout and where you can get into reverse. Also has where you can go either direction. So like right here, it is locked out of reverse. If I flip the lever the other way, it's locked out of forward, which is I don't know why you would use that feature other than to let line out if you're battling a large fish, I guess. And then it has a position right in the middle where you can turn the handle both ways. It's kind of an interesting fishing reel. I have another one of these. I have a D.A.M Quick Super that I'm going to be doing on the channel also. Let's get into this one, get this one cleaned up, get it working nice, and get ready to get it back out on the water. I'm going to start by removing the external components. Just turn this here. This takes the spool off. It's also the drag knob. Pretty dirty, mostly dusty in here. Pull that off. There's a clip here. You remove this clip and we can get the drag stack out. Let's go ahead and do that now while we're right here. Gotta be careful, these are a spring-loaded clip. They will go flying across the room if you don't keep your finger on it or keep, try to hold it so it don't take off on you. Pick these out. This first one is a keyed washer. As you can see, it has that notch there. And we have a fibered washer. Stack them up here in order they come out. Well, this one's a little bit different than you usually see. This is a keyed and an eared washer. I haven't seen that very much at all, where it has both on the same washer. Then we have a fiber. It goes steel fiber, steel fiber. And here's another keyed washer, a little different style keyed mark. And then there was a fiber on the back side of that. These pretty good shape. They're fairly dry, fairly clean. Alright, I'm going to set this off to the side. What I'm going to end up doing is taking this out to the sink and scrubbing it all up. Get all that dirt off in a little bit here. Let's set this stack of drag washers over there. Okay. So this one here, we need to disassemble the inside to be able to get the axle shaft out to be able to get the rotor off. Now let's see here. Take this handle. I don't know if this one unscrews or not. And this one I believe is pinned. Not 100% sure. My other one, I haven't done the other one yet either, so we'll see. Alright, let's pull these screws here out. Pull this side cover off. It's a longer screw. I believe they go all the way through to the, through into the other side cover. Always want to try to use a good screwdriver, one that's not all worn out, so that you don't tear up the screwdriver or screw slots. Strip out the screw, it makes it very hard to get out. And this one I'm seeing has an oil port right here that will lubricate this shaft in here. Okay, let's see here. Pull the other side off first. Feels like there may be something holding this There we go. Let's look here. Yeah, the reciprocating mechanism is holding it. This is actually very well greased. The grease looks like it's in good condition. It's not all real. Well, it's starting to dry out though, you can see, I guess. Let's see how you get this here out without an issue. Remove the clip. You should be able to get that out of there. Taking that, we can get this clip, this E-clip. You want to be careful, that is also a spring clip. It will go flying, you will lose it. Get that. There's a washer on here. We'll take the washer off. If you could see down in here very good. I got my fingers in the way, I guess, but take the washer off. You like to use these parts trays to hold everything. And we'll lift that arm off, and the main gear comes out through that side. These pins here, a lot of times these pins will get rusted, or not really rusted, but corroded into this. This is like a pot metal. I don't really want to take a chance on breaking that. It does have a lubrication point right here, which I'll clean up and lubricate. It's in pretty good shape, so I'm not going to take this all apart. It's spinning fairly freely and everything. Okay, this side cover comes off, which I was not aware of. That's very good deal. Now we can get in here to get to the screws that hold the reciprocating arm onto the axle shaft. We'll remove the screw, and we should be able to slide the axle shaft out and then get the rotor off. It's quite a long screw. The axle shaft should pull out. There we are. Lay the axle shaft up here. There's the reciprocating arm. Now I can get to my nut here to be able to get the rotor loose and get the rotor taken off the body. And I'll be able to get the pinion gear out, clean everything up, and get it reassembled. If you have sockets or wrenches, it's best to use them. I use pliers a lot, and I don't recommend it. It's a bad habit. These are brass. Well, actually, this one looks like a stainless steel. A lot of times, these are brass nuts, and you can damage them very easily. There's a washer behind the nut that holds the rotor on, and there's a locking ring here. There we are. Take that off. Now the rotor should come off. It is moving. It's just real. There we go. This is the bail trigger right here. Bail release trigger. Just like that. That is working. It's just slow. I'm going to have to lubricate that. Use a little bit of 3-in-1 oil on the bail here, and that'll get that moving much better. Just kind of work it, a little bit of 3-in-1 or even penetrating oil. I like to use the 3-in-1 oil. It's better lubricating properties than penetrating oil is. Penetrating oil is made to get down into places and get things freed up. But it's not really, in my opinion, doesn't really lubricate well. There, that's working a lot better. I like to put a little bit of oil down here on this pivot point and on the spring. That spring is a moving component will wear, or can wear. There we go. Yeah, let's set that off to the side. Like I said, I'm going to take a lot of these components out and scrub them up in the sink. I should be able to get in there with these. I don't have snap ring pliers right here handy, but this worked just fine. See how I held my thumb onto that so it didn't take off on me. I should be able to pull that right out. Yes, I can. There's a spring washer, then a brass washer, then my bearing. The bearing actually feels really good for the age of this reel. It's not wanting to come off that shaft. I don't really see an absolute reason I need to get it off there. It is working well. I am going to re-lubricate it, clean this all up, and re-lubricate the bearing and reassemble it. I don't want to damage anything. This reel is in really nice shape, so I'm not going to force that off there if it doesn't want to come off. We'll start cleaning everything up, get this thing lubricated and back together. Okay, I've got everything scrubbed up, took it out the kitchen sink, scrubbed it all up. It looks like it cleaned up pretty good. Used the soft plastic bristle brush. You can also use a toothbrush to scrub components to get down into the little areas there. Want to always be careful not to be too abusive on these springs. Be careful how you do it. Wiping it out with a towel on it, you can snag these little things. Those springs are fairly delicate. You can damage them easily, so you want to always think about that and be careful on that. Okay, we got this thing scrubbed up. I wiped it out. We'll take and finish cleaning up the components, get the grease off the other pieces, and we'll get this thing lubricated and back together. Use a lot of paper towels, Q-tips, and that type of stuff to clean these pieces up, get down into the little nooks and crannies and get all the old grease out. Want to get as much of that out as you can. Excuse me, getting over a little bit of a cold. Get as much of that old grease out as you can. That stuff gets hardened up and dried up, and it'll start getting in there, clogging up the gears, flaking off and such, and get in there and bind it up if you're not careful. I did not take this piece out and scrub it up. I did not want to get water down in there. I wouldn't be able to get it all back out without totally disassembling it. Like I said, a lot of times these pins like to freeze into this pot metal or white metal, and I don't want to damage the handle or break the handle trying to get that off of there. I believe that should actually spin off. I believe that's a hinge point, but it appears to be frozen up. So I'm not really wanting to break it. I may work on that later, put a little bit of heat on it, try to get that freed up and folding again. But if it does not, I'm not going to force it. It does not matter that much. Yeah, actually it is a hinge area, you can see. I'm just not sure where exactly it should unscrew from, so I don't want to damage it, but I am going to work on it a little more, see if I can get it moving. Okay, I got most of them pieces cleaned up. Wipe the axle shaft down here. Get the reciprocating arm cleaned up. That grease is actually still, it's starting to get gummy, but it's still not too bad yet. It may have actually been serviced in the past. A lot of these reels I get have not been serviced their entire life, and the grease gets all hard and dry, and I've actually scraped it out of a few of them, as you've seen in some of my videos. Take a screwdriver or something and actually have to scrape the grease out. Alright, I believe I've got everything pretty well cleaned up. So now we'll start lubricating pieces and reassembling. First thing I'm going to do is get this pinion shaft A little bit of oil down in here that helps loosen that grease up. It's got quite a bit of grease down in there. That oil will help get that softened back up. And you see the bearing spinning nice and free. Let's see if we can get some of that old grease out of there now and get a little new in there. And there we go. Alright, let's get some grease down in that bearing. We can get it put back in. Okay, I also like to fill the teeth on the gears with grease. This also rides in a saddleback right in here. There's a brass bushing in there, so I want to put a little lubricant on that. I'll slide that, see a little bit more moisture in there. Slide the pinion gear back into place, and you see how it slides down into there. It's working nicely. Okay, now we have our brass washer, our spring washer, and our circlip. Want to hold your thumb on there so if you slip off it, don't take off flying on you. And you want to make sure it gets snapped all the way down into the groove. There's a groove down in there that ring fits into, this snap ring. There we go. Pinion spins nice. I've lubricated this already, so I'm going to go ahead and slide this in on there. Has the locking washer. Now you'll have to rotate that. There we go. Rotate the axle so that it lines up with that notch. Then we have flat washer, the nut, and I'll hold the rotor while I tighten the nut. Again, like I said, if you have a socket set handy or wrenches, it would be a lot better than using pliers. It's a very bad habit I got into. And it's working. Bail release is working. So we slide our axle shaft back in. Put our reciprocating arm on. And then we'll line up the screw holes. Get my screw started back in there. Wiggle that around so I can feel the screw drop into place. Thread that screw in. There we are. That folds down. We'll put this side cover back on. There we are. That's going to aim that way. Put a screw in it just to kind of line things up. Put our washer. This can be a little bit tricky to hold all of this at once and not drop everything. I take my pliers, slide that E-clip into place. I can put this side cover on, get my screw started, and then get the other two in, and that one's going. Get my other two screws into place here. Like I said, I don't like to tighten them down until I have them all started. That way everything will line up easier. There, now I can start snugging them up. There. Okay, that's back together and working as it should. Okay, now we'll put our drag stack back into our spool. This one had the metal, fiber. Oop, just a second. There we are. So that's the top, fiber. This is the middle. Got a fiber, the washer, another fiber. So we'll drop that on there like that. There's that one. Fiber. I'm going to drop just a little bit of oil into here. Helps to keep those fiber washers softer or working well. Put that in. Fiber. This one might be a little bit tricky to get these drag washers lined up on that axle shaft because there are different styles of the keyed washer. There, use a screwdriver to get that snap ring down into place. You want to make sure it gets locked in. It seems to be wanting to pop out for some reason on this. Maybe I'm going too far. That's what it is. I was trying to push it farther down than what the groove is. Okay, that is locked in. Now let's say we can get this rotor or spool back on without too much trouble. It does have this groove here that those keyed washers slide onto. So you just put it on here, rotate it a little bit back and forth, and you'll feel it slide on into place. And there it is. And we put our drag nut back on. Okay, the washers are working. Tighten it down. The drag is working as it should. Put just a little bit of lubricant into this oil port here. I put a drop on there, and then I'll take my pick and push the little ball down so that it opens up and lets oil into that shaft. There we are. You rotate that to get that working. I like to put a little bit of lubrication right on this shaft there. Keeps everything working good. We'll put a little bit on the handle, keep it freed up and not squeaking. There, I'll put just a touch there. Nice and free and spinning nice and quiet. Alright, I appreciate you guys watching. Thanks for coming back and hanging out this long. If you've been watching this long, you may as well hit that like and subscribe button.